So, Anthony Barone, you are co-founder of StudioHawk SEO agency, and you started working in a bar in Melbourne, Australia. Let's open up with how you started from there. Obviously, at university, you studied sports management, so how you went from that pathway to A, working at an SEO agency and sort of learning that process, and B, how you came from working in that in Australia over to mighty Britain.
Well, what a story. Thank you very much, Alfie. So my story starts probably, finished up school in 2010. I was one of the young ones in Australia, so I was like 17 when everyone else was 18, so I didn't get to do too much. Went to university and I was like, sports management, that's going to be awesome. I could run a football club. I can work in a football club. Great. Not the case. When you realise that a lot of those big industries, it's all about who you know or nepotism. And plus, I didn't really care too much about uni because I was like, I just finished school. I'd already done a bunch of studying. I'm like, learning on my own with no school structure, I can't be bothered. So I got a job just working in a bar. And in Australia, most pubs have like what they'd call like sports betting or you call them fruit machines here. So I worked at a bottle shop doing that while studying, but I was earning good money at the pub, so I didn't really care too much about studying. And then just P's get degree. So I managed to just get through it. Finished up about 2014, 15, still working at the bar. Managed to get a volunteer job in a football club called Richmond Football Club, working in the football and IT department.
Shout out Richmond
Shout
Football
out Richmond.
Club.
Boo, Richmond. Go Carlton. But I managed to get a volunteer job there, and I stayed there for 5 years until they won the premiership. I worked as essentially, think of like a horse race caller, but for football. So I was calling out all the stats. I was borderline a commentator for all the statistics.
So you were the guy in the booth.
I was one of the guys in the booth calling that with the binoculars, making sure the coaches had accurate stats. So that's what I did. And I thought that'll be a great way to get into a job in the AFL. Like, okay, I was good at it. It was good fun. No. Once again, all about who you know and all about nepotism. So I was like, well, that's not going to happen. Plus, with the AFL, without getting into a too long a story, they have caps on like football departments, so they don't exactly have a lot of jobs going. So they stymie the growth of the game. Hence, volunteers and people like us are not going to get a shout. So did that, finished up 2017, went back to the bar. I'm about 23, 24 at this point, and you hit a crossroads. Like, okay, not going to work in football or sports. Never had a corporate job before. Tried a corporate job for a week, actually, to be fair.
What was that?
Well, 2015, I went to a work cover insurance company. Started on a Monday in June 2015. Left on the Friday. It was like a movie where you'd seen your future pass by you, and you saw, and hey, sounds bad, but like you looked at the grey cubicles, you looked at the people in there, and you're just like, mate, I can't be 23, working in the city, like slogging in every day for like not great money. We're doing work cover claims and being on the phone like a drone, where you also got rewarded with more work if you're actually a good worker.
Yeah.
So I lasted 5 days there, quit, went back to the pub. 2017 rolls around. I met my now wife, Julia, in 2017.
Shout out Julia.
And then end of 2017, I got introduced to Harry Sanders. Harry Sanders was at the time, 21-year-old kid who'd started StudioHawk in Melbourne as a 17-year-old.
Nice.
And he's got a story. He's one where when he comes to the UK, we'll get him on the podcast.
We'll get him on.
But he's gone from... He was a homeless kid, started his agency, built his way up through poverty.
Okay,
And
nice.
I met him in end of 17, and he was 20 clients himself.
How did you meet him?
Got introduced by a mutual friend.
Okay.
And Harry was just looking for a junior SEO. And this mutual friend had been like, oh, you do stats and data. You should speak to Harry. And he had no clue that was so far away from what the hell StudioHawk did. But got chained to Harry, applied for the job. At the same time, I got another job at a nightclub. So I was doing two at once. I managed to get the job at StudioHawk as a junior. I had no idea. My logic was, I don't have to go back to university. I can get paid. Harry can teach me, and that's digital, that's online, that'll be around for the next 10 years. That was my thought process. So pitched for it, did the phone interview, came in, they liked me, and I also got lucky, and this is where people need to appreciate luck in their journeys. I got lucky because they had another girl who they'd offered the job to, and this is a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job, but this girl wanted to work weekends, and Harry was like, no, we don't work weekends. So she did take the job, and then I got it. So I was very lucky in that standpoint. And And I was like, what the hell is this SEO? I just knew it was like online. And I knew so little about it that I didn't bring my laptop to the first day. I printed out in a binder folder like a guide to SEO, like actually printed out, photocopied, and then brought it in. And Harry was like, where's your laptop? I'm like, what are you talking about? I've got the beginner's guide here. I'm going to learn. Like, I've got my pen and paper. I'm going to learn. And that, because I'd never worked, not really a corporate job. I didn't bring my...
Good attitude, bad execution.
Yes, exactly.
So sometimes, kids, that does pay off. The right attitude will go a long way.
I'm still here 7 years later. So that's how I got in there. And honestly, my attitude was just work hard. And because I'm like proud of my own name, when my name is attached to something, if they see Anthony Barone, they see StudioHawk, I want them to think quality. I want them to do a good job. So I just read, I learned, I asked Harry questions. I was pretty bang on below average for the first 3 or 4 months because I had no concept of what the hell this was. I did a minor in marketing at university. It was all 2012, 2013. There was no digital then. So long story short, like that's how I fell into StudioHawk. And then I rolled around to mid 2018. We started to hire people. It started to click as to what search engine optimization was, which we'll get into in a second. And I was like, okay, we're getting there. And we got to 3, 4, 5 people. And I was building my knowledge, building on my skills, dealing with clients, and just learning so many skills because I just got thrown in. Go learn, go do, go to client meetings. And as a kid, and I say kid, like I'm 24 at this point, but like you're looking at these adults who are running real businesses and these adults who are having real jobs, and you go, oh, they're so advanced and all that. And then as you grow and progress, you realize maybe not so. But
yeah, I mean, realizing adults, regardless of who they are, parents, co-workers, etc., is everyone's first time going through life as well. And that sort of moment of clicking and realizing, oh, you also knew very, very little. Yeah. But you can also make it work as you did. It's not necessarily about the whole, having all the information in your brain at once. It's sort of execute, then iterate and make it work.
100%, and that's what we did. And then, end of 2018, we had signed 100 clients. When I joined, Harry had 20. We'd signed 100, so got to 120, got to about 11 people, won multiple awards. And then back end of 2019 rolls around, Julie's like, oh, I want to move to London because she's in fashion. I'm like, okay, cool. So I said to Harry, what are we going to do? I didn't want to get another job because I'm a company man. I'll be there for 30 years. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I'd never been to Europe before, never been to London, I'd never ran a business, had no idea what the UK digital marketing scene was. And we're like to Harry, I can be a senior SEO. I'd grown to senior SEO at this point. I just work remotely. This is pre-corona. Work remotely, do bits and pieces, cool, keep on ticking, or start the business. And back in 2018, our plan was 2021 to start a business. But most likely it wasn't going to be me because I was the number one poster boy for Melbourne, family, football, cafe, friends, all of that. Like, never going to leave Melbourne. Why are you going to leave Melbourne for? But so Julia moved over first, then I moved over mid 2019. Thought we'll start the business. What's the worst that can happen? Paid for my flights, got the visa, and just came over end of 2019. 7 years later, here we are with a growing business and a team of 15 here in Shoreditch and about 80 odd clients under our belt in e-commerce. And then, it's been a mad journey, but going from the bar to one of the most hardest markets in the world for digital marketing because you've got some of the best agencies, some of the best marketers, some of the best brands, in-house teams, all of that. And I'm coming here going, what the hell do I know? And maybe the naivety actually helped us out because we had no choice. Couldn't fail, couldn't go back home. Didn't want to go back home. I've been sent over here. Didn't want to fail. So that naivety of just go and do it, just figure it out.
Yeah. Would you say so? In that sort of lead up from working in the bars at university and afterwards, was there a particular mindset shift that happened? I know you said working in that corporate office, you sort of looked around you and saw the 9 to 5 sort of all-inclusive lifestyle in front of you and thought maybe this isn't for me. But were there any other sort of particular moments and any sort of particular thoughts that you had that led you to make the decision to sort of take a risk, go out on your own and sort of go with Harry and follow him through this journey?
Yeah. So I knew that these days the hospitality work is like for uni kids and you do your bit of time and then you go unless you're really, really good or you got a lot of money that you can then build your own thing. Didn't have any money, wasn't going to open up a cafe, wasn't going to open up a hotel, wasn't going to open up a bar. wasn't really management material and didn't have any money. So we're at a crossroads of like, well, I need to do like a career. And in Melbourne, it's like, or Australia, and there's some parts here, but it's like get job, get dog, get wife, get kids, follow the plan, follow the life plan, and then retire at 65, die at 80. Follow the Aussie plan, right? And you sort of had that half mentality. It's like, oh, what's the career? What's the thing? And probably it's looked down upon to do hospitality and things like that, but it teaches you a lot of skills. You deal with a lot of people. You deal with annoying situations. You deal with annoying customers. You deal with drunk customers. You deal with bad bosses. You deal with all of that. So it builds a bit of resilience, builds a bit of experience. But the mindset shift was, I can't do this forever. And I didn't have any money to start a bar or anything like that. So this was an opportunity to go, well, what's the worst that can happen? I'm getting paid to learn a new skill. If it doesn't work out, to be honest, I could always fall back to hospitality. I wasn't going to go back to football. So yeah, it was literally like, oh, why not try it? And I'm sort of a person where, and the family, it's like, safe, do the right thing, like just follow the path. Not really risk takers, but this was like, well, what's the worst can happen? I get to work in a cool area, in a not corporate office with this young kid on a laptop doing this digital marketing thing. What's the worst that can happen? And I had that fallback of like, well, I can always go back to the pub, even though it might not be great. I can still earn some money and figure it out from there. So it was sort of like a half risk or 3/4 risk.
Okay, fair enough. So with that sort of previous experience, being university, working in the football club, and then hospitality compared to where your career ended up now, what would you say out of those three gave you the sort of best preparation for working in the real life world? Because I think a lot of people, especially people in the UK, less and less people are going to university. And I think a lot of people, depending on what course they did, are finding it less and less useful for getting into employment. I didn't go to university. All of the work that I learned how to do was on the job as well. It'd just be interesting to get your take from somebody who works in more of a corporate environment as opposed to somebody who teaches people how to do press-ups for a living.
You're helping me out. University, and I'm going to be blunt about this, in 2025, even in 2011, is a waste of time.
Even in STEM subjects?
STEM subjects, fine. I'll give you that. I'll give you credit. But engineering and medical, legal, fine. But a lot of university degrees are a genuine waste of time. Sports management's a waste of time. You could learn that stuff on the job. And a lot of people who are in sports management don't actually do those degrees. They're lawyers or their father's in the coterie group that helps them get a job and then they work their way up. So I would be a massive proponent of either not going to university or doing the right degree at university and working on the job and getting that experience. I learned a lot looking back on it, not that I realized this at the time, but looking back on it when I was in the pub and I worked in the bottle shop, having those interactions with people, those 30-second interactions to talk to people. When I worked in the bar and dealing with drunk people or the same old regulars and making conversation. When I worked in gaming, and it's a sad environment when you're working in those slot machines area where you're just seeing people essentially piss their savings away and trying to deal with that, talk to those people. And those little interactions, looking back on it now, all shaped me and those experiences, how to talk to people, how to deal with situations, how to deal with the bosses, how to deal with long shifts. All that type of stuff helped to build it. So I think the hospitality experience, not that it trained you for it, but it sort of did because of what you had to do. The football experience, my one was unique because that one was a high pressure environment and didn't get paid anything. That was 5 years, every Saturday for 6 months, working with a good crew. We made some good friends there, but working with a good crew of non-stop 2.5 hours. You have to watch this game and not screw up one stat because the coaches are relying on that. If my stats are bad, the coaches are making decisions based off my stats because I was doing it for the club and then my mate was doing it for the oppo. And if I screw up, then the coaches make the wrong decisions. The players get pissed off, which they did. Some players had a go. In my first few months, players would have a crack at my boss there.
Never found yourself in a water cooler based off some bad numbers.
No, because the players focus on football, but they don't really care about the people behind the scenes. They're football players. They focus on football. So that was my job. My job was high pressure, 2.5 hours every Saturday, traveling all parts of Victoria, country here, doing sometimes double games, having to know essentially 25, 50 players at a time for Richmond, and you can't screw it up. And it's like a race caller. It's, 47 handballs to 19, kick like it's that for 2.5 hours, 4 quarters. Yeah, and if I screw up, the coaches make wrong decisions, and it sounds like, oh, I'm pulling a bit of a long bow here, but if the coaches base decisions on the stats and how the game's going, and more it's analytical, if the stats are wrong, they may make the wrong decisions, putting players in the wrong positions or having to go at the wrong players. Therefore, it may affect team performance. So that's how I sort of, and that was a high pressure job, which sort of like you had to be switched on.
Yeah.
You cannot take a break. So that one was another one where it's just like, all right, when you've got to go, you got to go.
Yeah, which is a fantastic setup for, working in any high pressure environment. It's just that, like, it doesn't really matter what the pressure is. It's just that sort of perception, like the fact that you've dealt with something like that before is like, if you haven't, and then you go into a high pressure environment, it's going to be very eye-opening and probably overwhelming for you. So whatever it is, find something to do that is incredibly stressful and get used to dealing with that.
100%. One of the favorite quotes is, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Love it.
And in certain situations, and nowadays I'm probably a bit more like that. It's like, oh, we'll just try it. Oh, you got this idea? Cool. Do it. Great. Let's go. Oh, let's go here. Fine. So it's a bit more of that attitude. And so yeah, I would say hospitality and those two really shaped me in little micro lessons, if you call it. But looking back on it, that shaped me. University, I realized waste of time. Pick the right degree or don't go and just get straight into the workforce. The school that I went to was a private school in Melbourne, very academic. Because that's what they could sell to future parents. They didn't really care about tradies. They took the piss out of those kids. Those kids now making a fortune, got their own businesses, construction, chippies, Sparkies, making a fortune.
We actually work with a fair few Australian tradies on the online coaching business side of things. Obviously, on our end, you get to meet people all walks of life, and I just saw this like sudden influx of Australian electricians, and I was like, I didn't realize how big of a market it was. Massive. And it's definitely the same thing that the school I went to. Not that it was academic. If you survived that school, you were lucky, but it was that thing of sort of looking down on people who wanted to do apprenticeships, of which I was one of. My first job, I was an apprentice mechanic. Like, my first week on the job was making tea. So yeah, I do definitely get what you mean, and also it's definitely something to keep in mind for people to make a change in their life, potentially from the academic side of things, is going into a high pressure job, regardless of what it is, just to get that experience. And it just makes you better at tolerating those kind of environments and gives you a good attitude when the going gets tough. Just wanted to sort of move back to you learning the SEO on the job part of things, a bit of a clunky segue. Anyway, so you went from knowing nothing at all about SEO. Okay, cool. So in that sort of lead up, it would be nice if you could define it for the layman. SEO is a 3-letter word to most of us, and we're like, what's this? And then also, what are the sort of like key aspects that you learnt about it? So the actionable, high leverage things that potentially people could use, and sort of things that you and StudioHawk as a byproduct focus on in regard to SEO.
100%. So SEO is not rocket science. I knew nothing about it. I thought Google just did it itself. I didn't realize there was a massive industry behind engineering and optimizing websites to get to the top of Google. I just thought, oh yeah, that's just Google, it does it. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. What that means is search engines like Google, Bing, Baidu in China, Naver in Korea, Yandex in Russia, and things like that. Those search engines that people use every day. It's optimizing, engineering, and improving your website, whether it be built on WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify, whatever it might be, that website that you run, own, or your business may have. Optimizing it to improve its position on Google to get it to the first page and have the website be a larger driver of sales, traffic, keyword rankings, lead forms, whatever your business goals may be. That's what our job is. Our job is to improve that website to get to the top of Google, because one of the first things that people do, and I know people talking about AI and all that, is they're going to be searching for something. They're going to be searching on Google or Bing, or the younger generation now they'll be using TikTok SEO, Instagram SEO. So we focus primarily on Google, Bing, and those search engines. But as social media continues to develop and AI comes in, it's still SEO. Just change the platform. Google, TikTok, Insta. It's still people searching for things. They did it 40 years ago when people were searching the classifieds. People will always be searching for something. It's just the medium of it. So that's what we do. At StudioHawk, we primarily focus on, we've got majority e-commerce brands. So people like Cowshed or Rixo or Soho Skin or Grind around here in London that we'll work with to improve their websites on Google and Bing to be a larger driver of, it's going to be revenue, traffic, and sales for e-commerce. And we also work with B2B, which is going to be, your legal firms or automotive and things like that, where they are looking to improve their standing on SEO and their standing on Google to get more people to call them or to be a big authority in the space or to have more lead forms. Because the website should be a sales tool. It is your brochure online, and our job is to optimize it with the latest strategies and testing and reworking and continue to test and do the best we can to make sure that website matches the business goals, and we are driving more traffic, keyword rankings, and things like that for their website. So it is a digital marketing channel, and it is massive because people are using Google and Bing, and they're searching for things every second of every day. There are billions of searches all the time. Even with all this chat of AI and ChatGPT and all this, funnily enough, it's still SEO. It's still optimizing your website for the chatbots and the AIs to crawl your website correctly. So it's still SEO, but that's what it is. That's what we do. That's what we help people with. It is an ongoing thing, like going to the gym.
Yeah.
You've got to work on that every month, every week, every year, because once you get to number one, well, you got to stay there, don't you?
Yeah.
So it's just as hard to work your way up to the first page for certain keywords and improve your metrics. But then you've got to stay there because guess what? Competitors will come after you. And then you have to work just as hard. So you have to create content, or you have to continue to make sure your website is clean. So that's in a nutshell what SEO is and who we work with. The key pillars of SEO, to keep it simple, is you've got a website. So just like a mechanic would do an MOT in a vehicle, you want that website to work. So you want it to look good. You want it to be fast. You want it to, if I click on a link on your website, it's got to get me to where you want them to go. And same logic applies for Google. If your website's no good and it's slow and clunky and the UX is bad and it's broken pages and all that, like a beaten up car, well, it's not going to run as optimal, is it?
Yeah.
So that's the technical part. Content. So content's a very all-encompassing word these days with social media, but it primarily focus on the actual pages on your website. So you look at Alfie's website, you've got clear services pages. This is what you do. Online coaching, one-to-one. Clear services pages. You have a blog which showcases your authority, and it's your soapbox to talk about topics that you want to talk about that are relevant, and you're providing information to potential customers and Google, hence trying to rank for relevant keywords. And then the last one is going to be, and this is always a confusing one, but backlinks. So all a backlink is getting a link from another website in your niche with authority pointing to you. So for example, Men's Health is doing an article on the best personal trainers in London. They link to Alfie's website. Google goes, well, if this high authority website likes what Alfie's doing, I'm going to boost Alfie up. And the more and more of those high quality links that you get, the bigger the signal. It's like a pat on the back. It's the reason why George Clooney does Nespresso ads and not me, because George Clooney has authority. Same logic applies. 3 pillars. It's not rocket science, but SEO has got this reputation over the last 25 years of dark arts, but it's not that hard. Fundamentally, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and that's sort of something that I wanted to move on to, was sort of the key processes involved for somebody trying to understand it. I know you've covered it there, but what's the sort of like actionable steps within that? What is the sort of day-to-day at StudioHawk like?
Day-to-day at StudioHawk. So a lot of it's fundamentally communications, doing reports, but a lot of it is depending on the client, because we're tailored campaigns for everybody. A lot of it's going to be these days technical SEO, so improving the website. So you audit the website to see what issues there are, and then you go, all right, where is this issue? Go to that page, go into the actual website. So we like to actually execute and get things done. Go into the website, fix that, clean up the structure of the page. So actually jumping into websites and fixing them up. Second is content. So whether that's coming up with ideas for new pages to target new terms that competitors are beating our clients on, whether that's competitors actually are not targeting these terms. We've just picked up an idea from the data that people are searching for. We can create a page to then rank for that term. So content is creating blogs, creating frequently asked question pages, improving the overall content on the website, about us pages, expertise pages, services pages. So the actual structure of the websites, improving those day to day, and either creating briefs, because sometimes our clients have resource internally to write that content, or we write it ourselves. So they're the two probably biggest ones, in addition to communication with clients, meetings with clients, in-persons with clients, because SEO is intangible. It's in the air. Oh, what is it? So the tangible thing that our clients get is that FaceTime, is that report, is that communication to educate them and detail. This is what you wanted. You wanted to make 5 million quid this year in your business. SEO was doing nothing before. Then we get 10%, 20%, 30%. Great. SEO is now bringing in $250,000 in sales. Great. So that tangible sort of those tangible results, that communication, us as people that they get. So they're probably the three biggest ones: technical, so improving websites and executing; content, either coming up with ideas or writing the content and improving websites from that standpoint; and communication. So being there for the client, being the experts for them, getting to have those calls, have those meetings, and educate them along the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. In regard to the tangible results side of things, so on the StudioHawk website, you can see some of the testimonials from people who you've worked with, and some of the numbers, if I recall correctly, are like 500% on some of them, etc. To a layman like me, that's a big number, and that looks nice. But what's the sort of trickle down between that? So what's the leverage of SEO compared to other marketing techniques? So say giveaways, etc. Just whatever other channels people are currently using.
So SEO is a longer term game because Google's got to crawl millions and billions of pages and websites every day. You make one change on your small little website, Google might pick it up in a couple of weeks. So it takes time to build and grow overall. So looking at some of the clients that we've got and some of the case studies and testimonials there, those numbers, the problem with SEO is I can't sit here and say, Alfie, I'm going to get you 10,000 users a month, because Google does algorithm updates every year. You might not give access to the website. You might break the website. I might not see you for months, and then you'll be like to me, well, where's my results? Yeah, because of all these factors, right? So you've got to take all that into account. So those numbers that we've got and the strategies that we work with our clients is, what is your number one goal, client? So for e-commerce, it's most likely going to be revenue. I need to increase revenue. Cool. But I can't sit here and say, hey, client, I'm going to guarantee you £1 million a year, because that's not how it works. With paid ads, you could sort of do that, but when you pay, you stay, you get to the top. But as soon as those cost per clicks go up, you're going to have to find that more money for the same client. So with SEO and those, we focus on priority. So for example, somebody like Grind, their focus is on improving, they've got their shops, they've got their cafes, but improving their presence online and on Google, reducing their paid ads spend, or lifting and shifting that budget to be more effective, and then ranking number one for terms like Nespresso pods. They rank number one for Nespresso pods. Great, they're the first point of call. They then get more people to buy their Nespresso pods. They get to make more money. Hey, presto, SEO. So our goal is working on what makes you the most money, what are your margins, what are your priorities, and then focus our SEO strategy on that. And then we get to number one there. Great, maintain that, and then focus on that. So those numbers that we got on the website, usually e-com, where they're focused on revenue, transactions, or keyword rankings. Because if we're on page 10, no one cares, but we want to be page 1. And now with AI coming in, we need to be on the AI overviews. We need to be on the snippets. We need to be on Google Shopping. You need to be on ChatGPT just brought in a shopping feature, so being on that. So there's now all different variations where you have to be seen, and that's just in the SEO ecosystem. Let alone these businesses and brands these days. You've got to be doing socials. You've got to be having a presence on there. You've got to be doing. You might be doing direct mail. You might be doing giveaways. You've got to be always doing brand content. You've got to be doing podcasts or videos like this. It's not the 70s where you've got radio, mail, paper, and TV. There are so many options and so many channels where people get their content or buy these days. Honestly, you need to have a bit of a presence on all of it. Some may work better than others, and some you may give more money and have more ROI from. But these days, like, you've got to sort of have a presence. And I always like to use the example of B2B businesses don't really care about TikTok, right? But hey, if you're the only legal person on TikTok giving advice, you get to build your personal brand. You get to be an authority. But the old school mentality is, oh, but there's only like kids on TikTok. Yeah, hey, half true. But what if you're the only legal person on TikTok that everyone's following you? Guess what? You're an authority now. You can go viral. And that leads into a segue of a basic lack of marketing understanding pretty much in a lot of places and a lot of businesses. Because it's very... I pay money, where's my result? Which is fine, I get that. Very financial mindset. But in this day and age with marketing, it doesn't, like, it's not as clear cut as that for a lot of channels these days. Like social, all right, do a few ads, get some impressions, get this, get that. But if you don't understand what the channel's supposed to do for you or what it can do, and you're just thinking in that, well, I should be getting leads. Well, okay, yeah, fine. But all of these things build to building your presence, building your authority, building your awareness.
Yeah.
To then get those leads and build that up. Like, so a lot of what we deal with, and as I've gone through and learned SEO, but learned about marketing overall, you just realize, like, if you get your head around what these channels are supposed to do and can do, and you then create content and target it, great. Like, you could do much better than the person who's just like, I pay $1, I want two. But if you're taking that mentality on, like, you could do that on paid ads, right? But if you did it on SEO, you did it on socials, you did it on you do it on the direct mail campaign, well then you're probably gonna do one thing. Like, how many times have you dealt with people where why and I ripped in 10 days, right? And you had dealt with that.
Yes.
It's also that high time preference, give me instant gratification, give me everything now sort of thing.
Well, the interesting thing about training, and Chris Williamson mentions this as well, is the one of the only things that gives you a brief insight to what progress is going to look like in 3 to 6 months. So when you're in the gym, you've been lifting, you get a bit of a pump, you can see those muscles are filled with blood, etc. That gives you an insight as to what things will look like in 3 to 6 months. And it's just that constant chasing of, I want to look what I look like with a pump when I don't have a pump in 3 to 6 months, and that just sort of carries on. But with the marketing side of things, there just isn't that. I mean, anyone who's done any of their own marketing will know this, whether it's posting on Instagram, etc. Like, you post every day for X amount of time or whatever, and you just, view count drops, etc. Like, there's just no feedback. But then 6 months later, somebody will message you and be like, oh, I saw your video. And you're like, what video? And it's a video you posted like 6 months ago talking about something that you thought was inane. It's very much a volume game. And I think that's something that people need to understand a bit more, is it's not, you're going to post one video and go viral. It's just sort of, not chucking it out there to say that you're compromising on quality, but just putting across your opinion on the matter at such a volume that it's impossible for people to not hear it in a sort of Hormosian way of do enough volume that it's incredibly unlikely for you to fail.
It's being top of mind, and we're seeing that in marketing where this is where if you take that mentality too much of like, I put in $1, I get two. It's just being everywhere within reason, like your resources and time and actually filming it, because it's not easy to do. But I'd rather take consistency than like waiting around trying to figure out the perfect plan. Literally just showing up like I do with you, just coming to the gym, doing that, get those sessions in, consistency. And the same thing in business. I go to the office every day because I'm useless at home. And I just by doing that gets me in the routine. Even if I had like a shit day but I got my emails done, or I got this done, or I got to see the team, or I got to answer a few questions with the team, I might have felt unproductive, but that all built up to that consistency of just showing up every day. So that's a bit of marketing where marketing and personal training, it's funny, there's the similarities there where people want instant gratification, but they don't want to do the work. And not only the work in marketing, you got to pay the cash as well.
Yeah.
Paid ads, you got to pay the cash. SEO, you got to pay the agency to actually work with you and the experts. Social media, you got to pay the team, you got to pay the agency, or you got to pay your in-house team a salary to buy the camera, to spend time coming up with doing the research and filming it, to do all this stuff. It takes money, time, and effort. But people in this day and age want everything now, without the effort. And that's not how it works, because unfortunately in this day and age, they see things go viral. Oh, here's this latest TikToker, or here's this YouTuber, but they only see what they see. They don't know the long story. That YouTuber might have been going for like 10 years before they broke, right?
Yeah, and they also don't know that a lot of people who go viral are actually working with people who help them go viral.
Yes.
I think it was our dear friend and inspiration to all lifters around the world, Liver King. He was actually, so sort of to go off on a tangent. So he was a multi-millionaire before he ever went viral. So I think he owns majority either shares or he's like a controlling partner in all of the sort of organ supplements in the United States. So this guy, he was like beyond made it. And then at one point in time, he decided he was going to be the most viral man on the internet. This was part of the sort of expose that was done on him when everyone realized he wasn't natural. I mean, go figure, the guy who's bright red and has veins in his teeth is taking something. But it was a plan. He went about it, and there's structure there. There's other people involved, and it is that sort of thing of looking at things at face value, where the social media side of things, it's much easier to look at it and go like, oh, that's just a person making a video. Whereas an advert on TV, you're like, oh yeah, of course there's a like whole team of people producing that. But into social media content, it's like, you have to come up with X amount of ideas, and 80% of those ideas aren't going to click with people, and then you have to find the ideas that do click with people, and then you have to make more content about that, and then you have to follow the content structure that is currently most viral, and etc. And there's just a lot of work that goes into it, and like backlinking pages. And if, you know, companies think that this is something that they can do on their own, or even small business owners think this is something that they can do on their own, it's not going to be as high a quality, and it's going to take forever to get it up to standard. It's much better to delegate with these kind of things.
100% delegating. Once you learn how to delegate, and when you not speak to, because most of them are dead, but when you read the books of business people and things like that, if you can master delegation, great. So that's one where you get better and better at it. But as a small business, if you're trying to do it yourself, you should at least get an understanding of what these channels are supposed to do. Even if you're just posting it because you might not have the budgets, but you focus on one or two channels that you think are important and go ham on those. So like for yourself, it's like website and socials. So your website is going to be, and you do the podcast. One of the socials, try and post as consistently as you can, and you've got so much content to talk about. So you can do the podcast, you can film your clients, you can film your own sets, you can film workouts. That's great. That's part of the social. Your blog on the website, great. The stuff that you've done on your videos, great. What did I do? All right, how to execute a perfect deadlift, great. Blog. Those two channels for you, and then you might try one or two like testers. But you focus on those two because you might not have the budget, you don't have the agency expertise, so you just try it. But I think as a business owner, everyone markets themselves all the time. So you've got to be able to at least try it yourself, so you know what it is. So then when you do delegate it, and when you do maybe get an agency or a freelancer or an intern, you at least got a bit of an idea. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know enough as to what this channel is supposed to do for me. What is my end goal with this? Is it brand awareness? Is it eventual leads? Is it just follow accounts? And then go from there. So everyone should try, because everyone should learn and do it, at least do something themselves. Because then what is a massive trap for businesses is that they don't do this. They don't do any research, any learning, any marketing. They don't understand anything about marketing. Then what happens is one of two things. They will hire an agency who then talk shit, and they get burned, right? So they get locked into contracts. Oh yeah, we'll do this for you. Number one keyword in 90 days on Google. Because the business owner has no idea, because they've never done the research. They just see, oh, Google. Yeah, my mate said something about that. Yeah, I type into Google. I want to be number one. Cool. There's no actual concept. They don't actually know that's bullshit. So a lot of business owners get screwed by agencies or freelancers, right? Because it's just the piano teacher one step ahead. They can just suck people in, but they lock them into 6-12 month contracts, and then, well, pay me my money to get out of it. And there's been some horror stories there that I've heard and clients have dealt with. And it's just, or they hire somebody and they go, you're the marketing manager now, or you're the marketing kid. And there's no structure, there's no framework, there's nothing. And then the business owner or the founder's like, no, don't do that. And then you're just hiring this person just to sit there and make tea. So that's two like big mistakes that people or businesses make, is they don't have any understanding or very little understanding, but they just like see the end result. And they go, yep, hire agency, pay money. Then they get screwed. And because they're busy running their own businesses as well, they don't keep the agencies in check. So there's no goals. There's no like constant communication. There's none of that. And then, I've been getting an invoice for 3 years, but I've never got a report. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then the in-house, well, you're paying, oh, I've paid this marketing person. That's a salary. That's national insurance. That's a pension. That's a laptop. That's this. You haven't built the framework, the structure. You haven't given them the direction. They're either going to do their own thing, and some people are good and they'll make it work.
Yeah.
And some people are just like, well, I can take the piss here.
Are there any sort of key parts of research that companies or small business owners should do, and sort of topics to cover before they go into working with an SEO agency, whomever they may be, but preferably StudioHawk?
No, thank
you. What's the key things for business owners to look into, to understand before taking that step, so they're sort of as well informed as one can be on a subject outside of their wheelhouse?
Yeah. So SEO, social media, whatever it may be. But if you're looking at SEO, actually, what is it? Because your people are the buyers of SEO at all times just by using Google. That's, if you don't click on the ads and you're clicking on the organic results, you're using the fruits of SEO. So if you're a business owner, say you're in e-commerce and you're like, I've got a women's fashion brand, I want to sell more. SEO and socials should be your two main ones, because you're most likely not going to have budget. A good person to probably look at is Grace Beverley of Tala, who is now loaded and massive.
She absolutely killed it.
Killed it on SEO.
She built that company whilst at university as well. Very, very impressive.
So she's smashing it, right? But SEO. So doing research in terms of looking at things like the basics of SEO. So moz.com, been around for 20 years. There's the beginner's guide to SEO. That's the thing I printed off in a binder folder on my first day. But there's beginner's guide to SEO and a few other resources out there where you can just learn the definitions and learn what this is. With YouTube these days, there's plenty of videos out there where you can go, basically, what is SEO? And as I've explained it, it's not that hard. So as love him or hate him, there are some gurus out there like Brian Dean or Neil Patel, where they've been around for 15, 20 years, and they've done really, really well at building a sort of cult following. But if you're a business owner in the UK, someone who's been there, done that, probably listen to Grace Beverley. She's one that's actually built a business, and she's got her course now and things like that. But SEO, and like I said, it's not that hard. So if you're an e-com, do some research. Actually look on Google itself. So you're an e-com business and you're in women's fashion and you're selling midi dresses. Type into Google, midi dresses, floral midi dresses. What type of midi dresses do you do? Actually use Google as a tool. Google's free. What Google will do is if you type in that keyword and you go midi dress, midi skirt, when you type that into the search bar, there's a drop down that comes out. And that's Google giving you free research as to related terms. That's what Google thinks is related to that. There's blog ideas. There's keyword ideas. Then if you scroll down, now with AI overviews, you're getting more, you'll have people also ask questions. Oh, what size should a midi dress be? What is a midi dress? They're all blog topic ideas. They're all product description ideas. Then you go further down the page, related queries. There's more content ideas. So using Google itself, without all the tools that we pay a fortune for, you can use Google itself as a research tool. You can also look at competitors. So again, I'll use a women's fashion brand for example. You're selling 5 or 7 products. Type those product names into Google, not your product names, like midi dress, maxi dress, right? Who's ranking top 3? And look at their website. Look at their product page. Look at what they've got on their product page. Look at their collections page. Look at the heading of that collections page. How are they describing the pages? How are they describing the products? What information are they giving to Google and potential customers about their products? Because what you'll see with people who start up their own businesses and their websites, because they don't know any of this, their websites are really thin, they're really bare, and they go, well, I did the job of a website. Well, yeah, you did, but this isn't 20 years ago. You're going up against so many people online. You're fighting for eyeballs. You're fighting for time. You've got to do your job, and using e-commerce as an example, that collections page, that product page, the blogs, the About Us, the homepage, all these pages are important to educate. It's a sales tool. Think of it like a brochure that you would get. It's a sales tool. If you're not educating your customers on what it is that you do, the benefits of your product, the problems that you solve, how's Google going to know and then give Google enough context and then rank you for relevant keywords? So I think I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but they're using Google itself as a research tool. There are resources out there like moz.com is one of the oldest. to just learn the basic definitions. We've also got Hawk Academy, which is a training platform, which I'll give you access to. That just has videos, modules, quizzes that you can learn from.
Where can you find that?
hawkacademy.co, but I'll give you the link and give you some codes. And being able to just learn the basics. Like I said, you don't have to be an expert in all these things. You just have to understand what this channel is, what it does for you, and the basics of what makes up that. So what's technical, or how often should I post on Instagram, or what's the dimensions of what Instagram post should be? What should a LinkedIn post be? Just understanding the basics. Because once you get that, you can then try it yourself, which is good, so you can learn. Try and be consistent on 1 or 2 channels, because usually alone you don't have any budgets. And then once you start building up your business bit by bit, you can then start to delegate, test out. There are so many, honestly, cheap options out there. You don't have to go to a full-fledged agency to start these things. There are interns, or there's things like Fiverr, but caveat on Fiverr. But in terms of trying to find the right person. But there are options to try and test these things. I think in this time, people want everything now. They want the finished product now without going through the hard work. You have to learn those lessons. You have to understand this type of stuff, so that when you delegate that out or get an agency or get a person, you can then give them a framework, give them a direction, give them what you want, and how that channel is going to work for your business, and it help you achieve your goals. There you go.
That was good.
There you go.
That was a great run. That was fantastic. Okay, so off the back of that, obviously, there's a lot of content in what you've just said there. If you were to titrate it down, let's go with 3 mistakes that you see most common that are negatively impacting people's SEO, and then 3 actionable steps people can take to either fix that or start improving on that for, let's go with e-com business owners.
3 mistakes. 3 mistakes for e-com business that we see are, and sometimes it's not their fault, but when they're building the websites, because they've got no concept of SEO, they'll just build the website, and then people's connotations and notions are, yeah, that's it, job done. Like, no, yes, you can build a good looking website, but the biggest place in the Western world that it's going to be seen is on Google and Bing, 10% Bing, mostly Google. And if you don't have a physical store, your online shop is your number 1 sales channel. And if you don't build it with SEO in mind, structure, content, big problems. Because then what happens is you pay a fortune for a website, even if you build it yourself, but sometimes people pay a fortune for a website. Then they go, well, it should just rank. And then I get a call. Oh, you're SEO, you help Google. Yeah, cool. All these things are missing. And you now got to either go back to the developer and pay more, and I usually just give free advice and guidance, because a lot of people fall into this trap. So I usually use like the give as gain approach, where it's like, I'll help you out and it'll get paid in kind one day. So that's usually the one where they don't think about SEO when they're building the website. It's like building a house without an architect, and then you tell the architect, I'll go fix it.
Yeah.
Same. That's probably number 1 where we're dealing with a lot of that. So we're doing a lot more work with development agencies and brands to be there as the SEO police from the start, so that even if you never did SEO afterwards, which it'd be dumb, but hey, even if you did SEO afterwards, the website is structured in a way where it's all there. The right pages are there. The right structure of those pages are there. You've got all the building blocks there. So that's probably number 1. Number 2 is for e-commerce. They don't have collections pages. And when you go to ASOS, and when I say collections page, you go to ASOS, women's trainers, or men's jeans, skinny jeans, collections pages that house all the products for that specific thing. The collections pages are quite poor and they're quite general. So it'll just be, okay, you're a women's shoe brand, and then your 1 collections page is just shoes. Well, you might have sandals, you might have high heels, you might have closed toe, open toe. They're all potential collections pages, which are keywords that you create a specific page for to organize the content, essentially. Organize your product pages much better. That's one mistake, where people either are too general with collections pages, don't have them, and are not organizing their... It's like going into a shop and then all of it's on the floor. Same logic applies. No, if you go into a shop, you go into Harrods, it's all nicely organized, different levels, different areas, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, same logic applies to a website, because the better collections page you you have, the better it is for Google to understand what you're selling, the easier it is for users to navigate your website and go to where they want them to go. The third one is probably just one is an education. That's probably 3A, education about what it is and expectations. Two, number three is probably their blog content. Product pages, yes, like product pages are important and they're getting more and more important, but that comes up under the sort of general collections pages and building the website properly, having good product pages, which I spoke about before. But being able to have quality content on your website, which is, yes, blogs. So being able to, if you're a fashion brand, you're talking about styling guides, buying guides, production methods, sustainability. You're talking about all these topics that are helping you build an authority and build your brand and showcase that you're got expertise, right? And then off the back of that, separate to SEO, you can create video content. You can do podcasts about how to the sustainability of production methods in China, right? You can then do social content. You can then do an email. You can do email marketing and build your email list by doing that one blog, sending that out via your email to your customers via email. So that one piece of content then can be chopped up and done in different ways. So building the website with SEO in mind, because this is going to be your channel for the next 5+ years. Collections pages and product pages are just not optimized. You're not doing your due diligence. You're not giving yourself enough credit to then talk about your products, organize your collections, organize your products in such a way where it makes it easy for Google and users to find. And then the third one is the actual content that you're putting out there. Now, typically it's going to be blog content on the website, but then you can flip that into videos. You can flip that into email marketing and send that one piece of blog content and change it in different ways. So they're probably the three sort of, maybe not mistakes, but people make those mistakes by not optimizing those or focusing on those enough.
Okay. And then 3 actionable steps.
Actionable steps. Generally, what is your why? What is your goal? What do you want to do with the business? Because some people will be like, yeah, I want to make more money. But if you're a 65-year-old lawyer who is looking to retire, do you really care about SEO on your website? Probably not, because you get most of your referrals and leads and stuff from your network. It's all about the why and where you are in business. What do you want to do? Some people just like a lifestyle business. Some people just want to make, $500,000, $1 million, make good margins, not have much stress, put the kids through school, buy a house. Great. Some people want to be entrepreneurs and have the growth mindset and really go. So it's like, what is that why? What's that why? Because then that'll set the tone for the plan. So 3 actionable steps. That's the overarching why. Yeah. Let's go B2B. Actionable steps. B2B, you're a legal firm. What are your service pages? So what is it that you actually do? I'm a lawyer. Okay, cool. What specific parts of law do you do? How do you do it? What problems do you solve? What is your process? Who is your team? Who, what, when, where, why, how? You look at that service page and where people lack, they have like 10 words on their service page and then they expect, someone will understand what I do because you're the lawyer and you know what you do. You've put a paragraph on the website thinking people think that they think like them. No, I don't know what specifically you do. I've got this one problem. I've got a landlord dispute. I'm searching on Google for landlord dispute. What's that service page? If you put a paragraph on your website, on your service page about landlord dispute, but your competitor has got, which is, people like Kingsley Napoli, for example, massive law firm. You look at their service pages, they detail exactly who, what, when, where, why, how, problems they solve. They're speaking directly to your pain points. So actionable is look at for a B2B business, improve your services pages, have the structure there to clearly explain the problems you solve, who you are, what you do, just like you would in a conversation when you're talking to somebody on the phone, you're trying to sell them. So service pages for B2B, collection pages and product pages for B2C.
Could you just define those 2 terms, B2B and B2C?
Okay, so generally you can be a B2B and B2C, but business to business or business to consumer. Yeah. So generally business to business, maybe like a legal firm or something like that, and an e-commerce is business to consumer. I'm a brand selling to you. Generally, there's more nuance within that, but generally it's roughly that. Second point is, so we've got we've gone through like the product page, collection page. Second point, actionable, is going to be like just doing your own research. So like I said before, looking at Google and seeing what is out there. Speaking from an SEO term, you're not going to pay a fortune for all these auditing tools, but what you can sort of pick up on is just spending so much time on your website, clicking on those links, clicking on these things. Oh, that's broken. That goes to a broken page. Oh, this doesn't look right, that heading structure. So I would encompass it as technical SEO. What are some quick wins? Quick wins in technical SEO without using your auditing tools. Now, if you're using something like Shopify or WordPress, you'll be able to see something like SEO title and SEO meta description. The last thing a person sees before they click on your result on Google or Bing is that title, is that blue link, is that and they see that description. If they are not describing what that page is, you're going to miss an opportunity and people are not going to click on it. So I would look at an easy win is your page titles and your meta descriptions, because they're just easy wins. Another one on that is something called your heading on your page. So if you were to go to Alfie's website and you see the heading there, it's online coaching. If that heading there is not optimized, you're missing an opportunity to tell Google and users what it is that you're offering. So if you're looking in your WordPress, if you're looking in your Shopify, if you're looking at your content management system and you see SEO title, you see meta descriptions, you see the headings, usually they're classed as H1, H2, H3, just like you would on a newspaper, making sure those headings are all slick. And then just thinking, on this, what questions am I answering? What problems am I solving for my people?
Yeah. What are the problems? Who are the people with those problems?
Exactly.
And describing how you're going to solve 100%. Those problems.
People are self-interested. People want solutions for them.
Yeah.
So speak exactly to that.
Which is fair enough.
100%. People are self-interested. But that's what you, as a business with your website, your website is your soapbox, and then detail that. And number 3, actionable. Just start creating quality content. So I know with ChatGPT, people are like, I'm just going to copy and paste ChatGPT. No. Use ChatGPT and these LLMs to help speed up your work.
Yeah.
So, for example, you want to create a blog strategy. You are Alfie and you are creating a blog strategy for your website. What are the main topics that you're going to cover? You're going to cover workouts, nutrition, training, maybe some lifestyle stuff.
Liver King,
right? You're going to cover maybe 4 topics. Use ChatGPT and prompt it correctly to then come up with the structure of that blog strategy.
Yeah.
And then use ChatGPT to come up with a brief, but don't let it write the whole thing and copy paste it.
Yeah.
But what I've just said there has taken away 70% of your thinking and research time.
Yeah.
Right? But you've prompted it correctly. The 30%, you can write a blog easy because ChatGPT, you can prompt it.
Yeah.
Whereby, all right, give me the structure of a 1,000-word blog or 1,500-word blog. Here are the keywords I want to use. Here are the keywords that I want to use. Here is the target market that I'm going after. Here is who I am, who I want to talk, who I am, what I do, tone of voice. You prompt it correctly. Then it gives you essentially the heading structure, just like you would the framework or a skeleton of a blog or essay. Here you go. You don't even have to think. You've prompted it, and it's sped up the work. That's where ChatGPT and these LLMs should help people out in terms of the minutiae and the efficiency. And then you're the expert. You're the PT. ChatGPT is not the PT expert. You've got 6 or 7 years experience in your brain. Do that 30% of the blog and write it.
Leverage for efficiency. Don't use it for creativity.
Because guess what? Every other lazy bastard is using ChatGPT. You are not going to be any different. But then you are telling me, e-commerce brand, that, hey, I'm special. Hey, buy my product. Hey, we're unique in this and that. But all the content is the same. And the content, that's your brand. That's you speaking. If you just handball that out to ChatGPT, millions of other people have done that. So leverage these. Third actionable thing is leverage these LLMs to speed up your work and craft ideas and things like that, but don't let it ride it.
Yeah, and it just shows a sort of like lack of effort, lack of care. I think the whole LLM for the creativity side of things, it was like a big worry for a lot of people, but it shot itself in the foot straight away because immediately people sort of identified it as an offsetting. It's like out of laziness. It's not, and it doesn't have that personal touch. And at the end of the day, marketing, making sales is convincing somebody else to give you their money. And if you're not even willing to, put the effort in to describe the things you're going to do to help them, it's not going to help them, it's not going to help convince people that you're actually going to put the effort into solving those problems. If everything is just outsource, it's not going to go anywhere as it's going to be super short-lived.
Yeah, but this is why you use it for efficiency. Like, okay, and in 5 years' time, there might be like really, really cool stuff. We're seeing it with Sora and other stuff, right? But the average Joe who's starting to get the business on the ground, leverage ChatGPT to like speed up the work. Because if you leverage it right, yeah, you can do a lot more than just the one person potentially could. But don't be lazy and like let it do the final product. Let it do the grunt work, but you have prompted it, so you still know your business. Because this is the one thing that I'm like with AI, and this is like, mate, you are sitting here telling me that I'm special, I'm this, I'm that, buy from me, look at this, we're so unique. No, you're not. You just done the same thing everyone else has done. So leverage it to speed up your work and be more efficient, but don't be that lazy. Because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you will not go as far if you're that wrong type of lazy. Like, using it to speed up your work, great, but people buy from other people. They can cut right through it because it'll show up in other parts of your running your business. If you're lazy in that part, what else are you lazy in? And are you as smart as somebody who, and the old adage is, oh, hire someone lazy so they can do things efficiently. Yeah, I get that, but you're a single person trying to run a business and fight hard to build this, but you're lazy. Mate, I came here 6 years ago with no bloody idea. If I was lazy, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah,
like we wouldn't be doing it. And there's other parts of my life where I'm lazy. I like to sit sometimes and play PlayStation and all that. But when it comes to business and doing that, you've got to be on. And you're going to have your hard days, you're going to have your slow days. But that's why consistency and just, I've gone on a bit of a tangent here, but long story short, use AI to be more efficient, be more effective, but don't let it do the final
leverage product. AI or get left behind.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. I like that. And that sort of like goes into the next point that I was going to make about sort of moving forwards with you and StudioHawk. Moving forwards, what are you guys looking to do? Who are you looking to help? And where can people find you?
So, big question. We have just started off in America. So we've got 60 people in Australia now. We've got 15 people with me in the UK. And now we've got a couple of people in Atlanta. So we just started. So we've got the full global. So we're about 80 odd people globally. Just still doing pure SEO. Our plan globally is to just continue to build that up to 100 people and so forth, and continue to build that up. My personal plan in the UK is to continue to build this up to be one of the best SEO agencies. Not the best, because that's bullshit. One of. So when somebody like a British Airways or something like that, or a big brand is talking about SEO, I'd love for StudioHawk to be in that conversation. That's my sort of overarching goal, delivering the best SEO simply, and I want StudioHawk's basic to be somebody else's great. We want to continue to create wow and do the best job possible. That's the overarching external sort of goal that I want. Internally, StudioHawk for me in the UK is the vehicle to help us all grow. So whoever comes through the doors of StudioHawk, good people, work hard, be professional. I want them to be able to grow internally at StudioHawk, whether they're with me for 3 years or 30 years, be able to grow and help each other out. So that's probably the overarching thing, is StudioHawk just continuing to grow and continuing to be at the forefront of SEO, continue to build up our presence in the SEO community all around the world, and continue to work with great brands and great companies to help improve their SEO position, help improve their digital marketing, and help them to achieve their goals through the power of SEO. That's sort of like the big goal. For me personally,
get jacked.
Get jacked with Alfie.
Get super jacked.
Get super jacked. But again, as I said before, I am lazy with my nutrition, which Alfie tells me.
Let's everyone berate Anthony.
Berate in the comments.
In the comments,
well,
please.
I blame my genetics, and I'll give that half blame. But yeah, it's I'm a sweet tooth, so I love my pastries. But
Blaming genetics is not allowed, because it's not something you can change, so it's not something worth thinking about. And I'm sure that crosses over into your world as well. Yeah. If there's inexplicables that you can't change, it's not really worth thinking about, or considering in the conversation of why you're not where you want to be.
100%. Control the controllables. You might get pissed off at people, but control what you can control and focus on that, which I tell the team and myself often, especially especially in this poor UK market, which we can have another podcast about.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing globally, growing StudioHawk, growing our presence, growing people, and continuing to, for me personally, continue to grow the presence in the UK, continue to build my business knowledge, financial knowledge, network, the events that we run, continue to do that. And then soft goal is probably 2030 and reassessing where we're at and building StudioHawk up in the UK as a machine where I get out of the day-to-day and focus more on the sales, marketing, and vision, like Harry has become in Australia. That's probably a 2030 goal. That'll take me to about 11 years here. And building StudioHawk to be one of the best quality, maybe not biggest, but quality agencies in the UK. And what are the goals? Get jacked.
Where can people find you, and who should come and find you?
All right. Where can they find me, and who can come and find me? So I'm on LinkedIn, so under Anthony Barone. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram at anthony.m.barone. And I'm on TikTok as well at Anthony Barone.
Love it.
Yeah, well, it's great. It's good fun, joining the kids on TikTok. You can find us at studiohawk.co.uk. And just send me an email at anthony@studiohawk.co.uk.
There's the academy as well.
There's the academy at hawkacademy.co, but I'll give Alfie the information on that. But yeah, you can find me at all those channels, or send me an email. I'm always around on the email, always around on things like that. Who can find me? If you are running your own business and you have got a website and you've either tried SEO, or you're looking at another digital marketing channel, or your paid ads are too expensive, or your competitors are beating you on search, always happy to have a chat. People might not be ready for SEO, but I'm always happy to give them advice and guidance to educate them around what SEO is and business, so that when the right time comes, we're always around. Who else? If you are just trying to start your business and you don't have money for SEO, but you want to try and do like a Grace Beverly, give me a shout. There's plenty of resources that I've got. Happy to have a half an hour chat with people to then educate them and send them along their way and be there as a support, because I believe that a bit of karma, but you help people out, it usually gets, in a roundabout way, gets paid back to you, and that's how we've done at StudioHawk. The amount of calls and free stuff I've given away and things like that, and events we've done just to help people out. If it gets paid back, great. If it doesn't, at least I've helped to give them advice and guidance to make a better decision, or made an impact in some way. So that's where you can find me. That's who the people that can come chat, either business or you're just a kid trying to learn more. Always happy to have a chat and give
some value.
Give some value.
Yeah,
that's it, mate.
Nice. Well, I think that's good.
Anything else? Any other parting wisdom, parting gifts?
Parting wisdom, not so much. There was a bit of a Q&A. Some of the questions are completely... Well, there's a couple of questions. So, friend of mine, young Jamie, he would like to know basic concepts for new Instagram pages looking to scale. So I'm not quite sure what it is. He's making like playlists of music to sort of represent a certain vibe, as much as it sort of besmirches my soul to say that word out loud. But for anyone, new Instagram pages looking to scale.
New Instagram. Okay, so this is one where I take my own advice from before. I know enough about Instagram, but I've delegated out to the team. So this is where I've been able to test this. So from what we found with the team, consistently posting.
Yeah.
Making sure they're in the right dimensions, trying to find your audience, but the big part of it, from what my team have seen with my one, and I'm sort of like trying to do a personal brand / talk about work, SEO, London life, consistently posting, jumping on trends, but again, if they're too cringe for you, don't do it. Like if it's not you, don't do it. So sometimes the team will come to me and go, "What about this trend?" I go, "No, I'll get absolutely berated for that."
Yeah.
Consistently posting, quality of content, finding your own niche, but just posting. Like as we said before, like you will then, if you post 5 times a week for a couple of months, you will then get to see the engagement metrics. You then get to see who likes it, who doesn't, and then you can test on there. But I'm going to hold my hand up. I'm not an Instagram expert, but there's Jamie. There's definitely people that I can either introduce you to or resource that I can give to you through Alfie that can help with that. But this is where I've got enough self-awareness, and I'm not a bullshit artist to be like, I'll hold my hand up. There are some things that I know, but my team are much better at it than me.
Perfect. That's it.
There you go.
That's everything.
Any other questions? Anything else you want to know? What about the hair?
How does one grow hair like that?
Just time.
Time.
That's it. Time
Okay.
and avocado oil. Good products.
Good products.
Look after
Italian
it.
genetics.
Italian genetics, 100%. Go grey rather than bald.
Perfect.